Man, that sucks. I just recorded 15-minute show for the Bitcoin Basics podcast, and then it wasn't recording. The record button was off. That sucks because I was freaking flowing. So today I'm gonna do a better human show. I'm looking at the record button. It's on. It's definitely freaking on. I'm watching it count down. 15, 16, 17. And then I just got pulled into a discussion with some people. This thing irks me. I hear it a lot. I hear it a lot from females too. And there's probably some biological reasons for this, but whatever it is, I see an obsession with taking advice. People look up to people that have done certain things and they want to be basically told what to do or how to get that or how to do that. But it's like, think about how fast things change and what innovation even is. And if every single entrepreneur or groundbreaker or anybody that did anything unique and original, if all they did was just follow the advice of other people, what would we have? What would the world look like? That's one thing. Maybe you don't even care about being a trailblazer and you want to literally just get the same results as someone else. Well, here is the gist of the thing. Before I get to that, do the intro. Welcome to the Better Human Podcast. I'm your host, Colin Stuckert. Get the Better Human newsletter over at colin.coach. Ideas to help you be sovereign, free, healthy, strong mind, growth mindset. That's what we're here. Daily show, 8-10 minutes, 7-10 minutes, sometimes 6, to help you become a better human and then pass along that legacy to the next generation so that the world's a better place for my kids. That's what I want to do. I'm selfish. I want you to be better because you make the world better and then my kids have a better world, period. Full stop. Today, we're talking about advice. Why advice is garbage. It is literally garbage. And the entire idea of it implies giving up your agency to actually think for yourself and test things. If you go out and you soak up information like a sponge and you soak up advice like a sponge, and then you go and test that shit in the real world, then you're in the minority. You're the 1% because literally nobody does that. Even people that take advice, most of the time what I found, it's just mental masturbation. They just literally want to hear something and they're like, oh, I know how to do this thing. And they don't even do anything with it. It's actually quite bizarre. Most people that ask for advice, they want to just actually procrastinate. Insane. But here's the thing about advice. Say you are an action taker or a go-getter and you ask someone for advice. There are people around me, very successful people, that I ask questions. I listen to what they have to say and I have them ask me questions and I ask them questions and it goes back and forth. And they definitely help me clarify my thinking. But it's very rarely them giving me advice. I had advice recently from someone who I respect massively who suggested I probably threaten to quit my current position. And I just decided that it wasn't worth it. I mean, some new information came up and there was definitely some different variables from the information I did have that came to fruition, but it's not like I went into that impending conversation after the quit advice conversation I had and was like, I'm quitting, I'm this and that. I definitely had some thoughts like that, but I used those to mull around in my head and kind of think about things and come to my own decision, the best decision for me. Advice is quite literally meaningless if you don't pair it with reality. And pairing advice to reality is doing something and then listening to the feedback you get. The only actual advice you should take from anyone or anything is from reality, from the universe. It's what I call the success loop. You take action, you learn from that action to take better action, or maybe the same action because it was the right action, and it goes around in this infinite spiral so that you're always taking action, you're always learning from that action and taking better action, and so on and so forth. This is what learning is. Entrepreneurship is learning. Building anything for other people or the market is learning. I could sit you down in front of Steve Jobs 10 years ago and he could tell you how to build an Apple computer. And he could go on for hours about everything he did, how to do. He could highlight some of the most important decisions he made, whatever. Could you then go build Apple? The other thing that we have with advice from experienced people is that they also did these things at a certain timeline. Now, this is more important today in the age of the internet because you could literally have built a business online 5 years ago doing things that literally don't work anymore. That's the nature of the beast of the internet. Things change so fast. Marketing channels change so fast. Social media channels come up and come down. The methods that work on them change because the algorithm changes. I see it all the freaking time. And this is why you have to have an obsession with first principles. You have to figure out okay, if you want to build something or do something or whatever, what's currently going on in the marketplace? And at the very least, let me master the fundamentals, the basics of a podcast, the basics of copywriting, of marketing, the basics of keeping people entertained, the basics of human psychology. These things are not going to change. What you do when you focus on first principles is you have a foundation of kind of known truisms that you know for sure, pretty much for sure. And then you build up from there. And then if you combine that with action taking and the success loop, reality, action, then you can go out in the world and get as much advice as you want, and you should. You should just be a data compiling machine. And you should take notes and you should write down or whatever. And all you're doing when you do that is you're getting a perspective, an idea of what to potentially test for yourself. That's what advice is supposed to be. It's supposed to be something that you could maybe experiment with, And that may or may not get you results. But if you go to anybody that's been successful in anything and you said, give me your exact playbook, tell me exactly what to do. Even if you follow that playbook step by step and you actually do get results, things you have to do, the people you have to talk to, the things that you have to give up on or try more of or do less of, the iterations you have to do are going to be incumbent and unique to you and you alone. Because you're this person, you're not that person or anyone else, and you're at this time in the market, in the world, in your life, etc. And I guess I would say most of this sounds obvious, but most people don't cognitively and in a focused manner think about this. They don't actually try to analyze it. They fall into like hero worship. Well, that person said I shouldn't do that, so I shouldn't do that, and crap like that. In fact, if somebody said you shouldn't do something, you should actually do that very thing to prove to yourself that what they told you is either right or wrong, right? You actually want as many things to try. They say try and don't try. You want to take all those things, try them all, because that is how you process and eliminate things and come to the success loop. Learning, learning, action, action. What bothers me the most about this idea of advice is the implication that it gives up your agency to think for yourself, but even more importantly, it gives up you trying because you convince yourself that person said that's not a good marketing channel or this won't work or that doesn't work or whatever. And what you'll also see, because I've been seeing this for years, hanging out with entrepreneurs, watching people online, reading books, podcasts, videos, everything. We can only speak about the things that we have good experiences with. So you'll hear people talk about every single business model and how this one's terrible and that one's great. Well, how can you have a whole bucket of people that say this business model is perfect and this business model sucks? High ticket sales, most amazing thing ever. Someone else is saying high ticket sales sucks. I gotta get on sales calls. Massive online courses suck because like this, whatever. This person saying massive online courses, how I built my business. I'm a millionaire now. Your strengths and weaknesses are going to very much determine your path in anything. That's why you cannot use something like advice and just blindly accept it and just blindly ignore certain things that might have been recommended or not recommended. You have to get out there and experiment and test. So be very, very wary of taking advice from people. You should ask questions. You should get asked questions. And then you should take notes, let your subconscious do its thing, and you should test freaking everything. One of the most unobvious call to actions for this is get advice or listen or whatever you want to call it, and then list out everything that they said. The pros, the cons, the good, the bad, don't do whatever. And then do all of it and test all of it as much as you freaking can. Get as much data as possible. Because something that this person says won't work or it's terrible or I hate it or whatever, person over here will be like, this is how I built my business, or this is the most amazing thing, or you should do this. And you only figure it out if you do it for yourself. So many people that want to do things or build things, they don't have the right mindset for creation or for entrepreneurship or whatever. And that's fine because we're not all built the same way and they should get a job, right? But I see so many people that want to do something for themselves and they want to create something, build something, and they get stuck on things that maybe happen or won't happen. They talk about my business. I don't want to do this. I don't want to partner with you because you want too much equity, whatever. Like these crazy ideas for something that doesn't even exist. It's literally crazy when you actually analyze it. But it's like, again, you can lead a horse to water. You can't make him or her drink, whatever. You can't convince people of things without them learning it for themselves. You can tell them everything you want. You can give them all these examples. You can have them read books, whatever, until they open their mind to it and they experience it. Like, or there's pain or there's something connected to making them open their mind or change their mind. They won't do it. And this is the most frustrating thing in the world. But this is also why I've learned over the years, no matter how much I like someone, an employee, a partner, or potential this, that, if I'm relying on them changing their ways or changing their mind to get to some place that I think I want them to get, because then that will be best, then I have to give up on that person in that way, basically. It sounds morose, but it's more like you got to just give people time. They'll come around if and when they want. And if they do, and there's an opportunity there, then do that. Don't convince yourself you're going to change anybody. You're not going to change anybody in your relationships. You're not going to change any partnerships. You're not going to change any employees. People are fundamentally status quo the way they are, and they might make subtle improvements here and there, but you're not going to have a groundbreaking, massive life change. And if they do have that, it has nothing to do with you. It's going to be something that happens in their life, most likely. And so you can't actually predict that or time for that or anything. That's it for today's show. Get in the Better Human newsletter over at Colin.coach. Subscribe on YouTube, podcasts, things like that. And if you want to support the show, I highly recommend checking out a few of our favorite sponsors, wildfoods.co for better foods and supplements for better humans. Code WildCEO for 15% off. Swan Bitcoin. That's what I use to stack Bitcoin on a daily basis. I have an auto buy set up every single day, so I'm getting the highs and the lows. It's the best way to buy Bitcoin. Colin.coach/swan to get that set up. And then some of my favorite meat that I keep in my freezer and fridge at all times, Crowd Cow. Colin.coach/meat. small farmers, quality supply chains, and delicious and nutritious animal foods. And if you want to get seafood, if you like seafood, Colin Coach/fish, sustainably sourced, premium quality, wild caught. And I will see you in the next one.